Hey guys, welcome back to the Landco podcast. This episode is the second episode of the series where we track the design and development of a premier waterfowl property. So we did begin our wetland last week, so I wanted to give you guys a quick update on that. So this episode will mainly be on the construction and design of that wetland. So if you remember, if you didn't watch the last episode, we have identified a spot to build a wetland. There was actually a previous a dry dam there that we're just going to raise and expand a little bit, and then install an agri-drain to allow us to plant out in front of it, and then stop that water once waterfowl season is here and flood all that food. So if we hop on over to the picture here, here's what we have ran into this past week. This is the dry dam that we're going to use for those of you watching the video. But what happened was, I thought that water was going to do something like this. Okay. When we did this, when I shot this, we move a little quicker on projects for us than we do for clients. You know, Ryan and I knew that we were going to do this no matter what, so we just kind of ballparked that water line. The first day, I had the laser out, but we didn't know exactly what size agri-drain we were going to get, so I just kind of ballparked a lot of it. On Thursday, I think it was, we actually got out the laser and shot exactly where the water level is going to be, while they were out there working on the dam or the levee. So it did move a little bit, which is going to change, which changes a little bit of our thinking in terms of how we design it and where we put the duck blind, goose pit, whatever we decide. What it's going to look like is it's about the same size. It's just different. So this side is the same. That was a bad drawing. The size is the same, but it actually comes in a little bit further here, and it doesn't go quite as far past the second levee as we expected. Then it actually goes, it's bigger on, actually it's a lot bigger on that side. Something like that. So what we were going to do, if you remember, is that second levee, we were going to, well, I got rid of those lines. Let's say this was the original design, okay? What we originally were going to do is push that levee dirt into a little peninsula right here and put our goose pit on the end. It was going to work great. But now, since the water doesn't go up quite as far as we thought, there's probably not enough water there to justify putting the goose pit there. So we're back with kind of a blank drawing board in terms of where we put this wetland. So if I draw in actually, you know what? I'm going to do this on the aerial. It'll make more sense. If we draw in where we expect this water line to be now, it's something like this. Okay. This second levee is actually out of the water a little bit. So this is the shape of the new wetland. So Ryan and I are trying to decide what to do with the construction in terms of, do we need to build something like a peninsula? Do we build an island? Do we just get a blind and put it in the bank somewhere? So that's what we're going through. I will tell you that the best answer is usually wait a year and see how the birds use it. But we are not that patient, so that's not what we're doing. So we're going to do something this year. Here's kind of our three options, and here's what we think about when trying to make this decision. That levee where our original pit was going to go, we are going to move that dirt to fill in some of this low stuff down at the bottom, just because we're operating off of a 5-foot water level. We usually don't want anything more than 4. It just gives us the biggest wetland here, and there is a small area that'll be about 5 foot underwater, which, it's kind of a waste in a wetland. So we're going to move this dirt from the levee down to the base and hopefully have everything 4 feet or less, with the majority of it being about 2 foot. Anyways, so now we're trying to decide where we put this blind. So our options are, we can still build a little peninsula. I'll draw these out in red. How's that? We can still build a little peninsula out here, maybe even using some of this levee dirt, and put the pit at the end, the shooting hole in the front, out here. That is fine and a good option. What you lose there a little bit is the ability to stack a bunch of like full body geese behind you. It's, usually a small little peninsula out there. Still shoot geese there, but not as much as you would if we decided, you know what, let's just put the pit on the bank. That way we can stack a bunch of decoys behind us, and our shooting hole would be out in front. The downside there is that, at least in our experiences, the ducks seem to prefer like the holes in the middle, out in the middle of the wetland. So while you do pick up the bonus of being able to shoot more geese and have full bodies, it's not quite as good for duck hunting. I still like this setup because it's kind of a hybrid. You get a little both. Or we're thinking, we could build an island in the middle and put a pit there so we could shoot all around. Or on year one, we just put a blind in the middle on stilts, like build a blind out of wood. So I think right now we're leaning towards doing that only because it's the least permanent. So it gives us a chance to hunt for 1 year. We're giving up, most likely, we're not going to kill many geese in there because it's going to be a small shooting hole in the middle of the wetland. So, we'll shoot our geese somewhere else. We'll kind of focus on ducks on this one. But right now, that's what we're considering. So that's not yellow. The shooting hole will be in the middle with a blind. Well, actually, one other benefit of that is doing the hole in the middle with a blind on stilts is it allows you pretty much to position your blind wherever you want. So if that shooting hole is in the middle, we will probably have our blind here facing northwest. That's just to catch the predominant winds. So the birds are going to be landing, either across you or right at you. So that is what we're leaning towards now. But if you guys, have any opinions or thoughts on that, we'd love to hear them. So that is the update on the design process. And here's some pictures of that. I had my little helper with me, Crew. My 4-year-old came out and helped. On this picture, we actually had to dig down to see how low. This wetland is already tiled, which is awesome. It'll keep it drier when we plant it. But we needed to know how much lower that tile was from the surface, so we knew which size agri-drain to order. So essentially right here, this pipe, it's about 3 feet underground. So our agri-drain is going to extend, let's use red, 8 feet up. It's going to go all the way off that, 8 feet up that way. And we'll have little boards in here. So that water will back up to whatever board that we have in there, okay? So our goal, we're gonna get to about 5 foot of water, which again, that's too much, but that's gonna give us the most water that's in that 2 to 4 foot range. So we did do that, so we know exactly which elevation we're setting it at. And we put some flags around the perimeter, just so, Ryan's planting out there now, so just so he knows where to avoid now and where to plant corn later. So we did flag the wetland out. In terms of the actual construction, what we're doing there is, again, essentially we're raising this levee and we're expanding it. So when we do that, there's a couple of schools of thought there. One, the cheapest way to build is to get dirt from super close. But if you need dirt, a lot of times you can steal dirt in front of the levee in spots that are either would be shallow water or out of water to get you more, get you more land to plant food and flood that food. So this picture that you're looking at here is exactly that. So on the, let's see, south side of that wetland, there was a big area that was only going to be about, maybe 6 inches or lower. And, of course you could plant millet or something like that, but we needed the dirt anyway. So in this picture, this area that right here, all this dirt that he's stealing, for the most part, and he's not done in this picture, he used that and pushed it this way to build the levee. But this whole area is going to be about 2 feet now. So, not only did we take dirt for the levee, it actually helped us out in terms of having more floodable food as well. So that's what we did on the south side. On the once we got out to about the middle, you don't want to get the dirt from in front because that's already the deepest spot, and you don't want it. Again, that's that area that's going to be 5 foot. We're actually going to be bringing dirt in. So once we got to the middle of the levee, we hopped to the backside. So that's what these guys are doing here. He's literally stacking. He's just reaching back with his hi-ho, dumping dirt on the top of the dam. Then they'll come back and run the dozer over it to to compact it and shape it. So we made it about halfway. I mean, if you look at, I'll try to find a picture. Let's see, that shows how far we have to go. Oh, here's a good one. So this is looking at the entire dam. It's from the south looking north. So you can see, I mean, from here all the way to, I don't even think that is all the way where it needs to be yet. Again, I think it was 600 or 700 feet. It's a long ways, but ours, on our dams, or our levees, we try to make them, 3-to-1 in the back so you can mow them if you want to. If you get a good stand of prairie grass or something, you don't need to, and they look kind of cool. On the front, it's not as important because it's usually going to be underwater at that time of the year. So, maybe a 2-to-1 on the front, 3-to-1 on the back, something like that. It's just a little cheaper than doing, 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 on both sides, just less dirt moving. So that's where we're at. Just thought I'd kind of give you an update. I would say next week hopefully this week we will be done with the construction of the levee. Then the next step would be to put in that agri-drain, attach it to the tile. Again, that's 3 foot underground right now. And then we need to decide, make a final decision on the duck blind, goose pit, whatever, and, construct the wetland accordingly, depending on what we decide. But as of now, I think we're just going to leave the water level as it is, have a shooting hole in the middle. It's kind of our answer to letting it be for a year, before deciding where to put some of these blinds. Because, you put a Bradley blind or a concealed comfort in, and you can move them if you want, but not very easily and not very cheaply. So if you're doing a permanent blind, it's certainly better to know it's going to be where you want it long term. And a lot of times that involves waiting a couple of years to see how the birds use, different wetlands. So that is where we're at now. Again, hopefully within a week or two, we'll have another update on that, on the rest of the wetland. After that, I believe we're moving to the lake below that. So that'll probably be the next project in this, waterfowl development series. So that's it for today. I appreciate you guys listening, and we will be back at you guys shortly.